Hello and welcome to a really round table. Today we have with us in studio a presidential aspirant, and we are discussing the role to the executive mansion. So I'm going to give our guests a couple of seconds to just introduce himself, and tell us who he is. Tell our viewers who you are, Mr. Jones. So welcome to a Radio Roundtable.
Thank you very, very much. It's a pleasure to be here. My name is Chuchu Alice Jones. I'm a Liberian, and I'm running for president in 2023. I come from the Grand Bassa region or county. Born and raised in Liberia, went to high school in Liberia, and then migrated to the U.S. for studies. My background is finance, business, engineering, and computer science. I guess as we go along, I will share more about myself, but in a nutshell, I believe that change has to come and it has to come from the youth in Liberia, the young people, not from the desperate politicians and those who have time and time again destroy our country, stolen our money, and now they want to come in power. So let's fight them. Thank you.
Right now in Liberia, we have a crowded presidential field, I would say. Why do you want to be part of this whole field? Why do you want to be president?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, I'm not a politician. I don't even like the idea of politician, to be honest with you. I'm a businessman. I'm an intellect. I like, things that make much sense. And politicians are not people most of the times who are there to do the right thing or see what the issue is and solve problems. And not just Liberian politicians, even the ones here in the US. They are just there to win elections at what cost. So you find many countries today around the world, they are having poor economic activities. That people are the economy is going through a global recession right now, and that because of the bad decisions that most politicians made. So why do I want to come into this race? I want to bring some fiscal discipline to our economy and be able to make the country work for the ordinary people and not just for the few 400 or so government officials, legislators, and people member of the high society. I believe Liberia has lots of resources. It has a very, very young population. It has capital, human capital, which is the most important thing, in terms of development. The problem has been that none of our leaders have put forward a plan on how you take these almost 2 million young people and you put them into productive means. How do you leverage our natural resources in terms of instead of waiting for investors to come to Liberia, but going in there and building manufacturing for jobs for people so you can cut down things like import. While we paying government officials, including the president and the speaker, almost when you combine the salary and compensation, millions of dollars when Liberians are living on less than $2 a day, at least 90% of the population. So that's why I'm in this race. I'm in this race to represent the people, to fight for the ordinary people, the students, the young people, and society, fight the political parties that are so corrupt time and time again. They come into power, they bring their friends from America, they pay them 15, $10,000 a month, and no, there's no change. All Solomon, we don't even have a major other than Ganta, Morovia, maybe Buchanan. And I would even consider those to be actual cities where you have universities and you have, industries and stuff like that. So that's why I'm here. I'm here to for economic reasons to make sure that to bring some sense to the debate. That it shouldn't be about where you come from, what political party, but it should be about what's your manifesto, what's your plan for Liberia, how are you going to change people's lives, and I believe that I have that plan to do so.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. There's an adage that says charity begins at home and ends abroad. And most of the time, when we into the race, the first question people start asking is, "What has he done? You know, what was his contribution, or what is his contribution to the society? Why is he coming just at this point in time?" So the question here is, what has been your contribution to the community?
Well,
And
I think my contribution is enormous. It depends on what people see as contribution.
I
So,
know.
for instance, what was Einstein's contribution to the world? Will you compare Einstein's contribution any less than Bill Gates? I mean, he created formulas that we use today. So, I have been involved in Liberia, I would guess, over, I would say, the last 20 years in the advocacy, fighting from Taylor time, fighting against the regime of Taylor publicly. Um, then coming to America, getting into charity, getting into helping people back home, which I don't like to talk about, and I will not be sharing most of that because I don't believe that you do charity for political reason. But as far as my work, if you Google me, I've worked with media, I've worked with the economy, I've made recommendations to help people, to help improve our government, our standards. I've set up programs, roundtables. I've done all those things free of charge to help the Liberian people. So it depends. Now, if you're looking for a politician that goes there and dish out bag of rice to win, I'm not that type. And even if I did do that, I wouldn't talk about it because that would be expectation.
Well, you are watching To a Radio Roundtable, and I'm your presenter, Pastor Patience. And with us in studio at this time is the presidential aspirant, Chu-chu Alex Jones. And he's telling us the reason why he wants to be in the executive mansion. So stay tuned, do us a favor, share the video, and make all the comments. And at the appropriate time, we're going to, be able to read one or two of them. Having heard the passion, the desire to occupy the highest seat in the land, I want to know what are the first two things you are going to do to raise Liberia from the state of poverty when if you were to uh, be fortunate to ascend to the presidency.
Thank you, I am Pastor Patient. I believe I will be successful because many things I've done in my life, as challenging as it was, I've come from nothing and was able to work my way. And today I have my own financial firm, small financial firm, albeit, but I'm independent. I don't have to depend on anybody. I don't have to depend on any corporation. I can do what I want to do. I can say what I want to say. I can travel where I want to travel. So that's success to me. Um, the first thing, the president, like I said, I've written a lot about the government and the finances and the operations of government. So there's something that I did a lot of studying. I even wrote a book on development, global development in third world countries. I've traveled there to some of those countries. I live in Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire, been to places around, and did an extensive for 2 years. I don't know if people know this, but for 2 years, I took a sabbatical from work and to research poor communities and to find why these places are poor. And then you find the same country, you find other areas that are rich. And there were key things that were missing, key institutions. Just off the bat, things like media, independent media was one of those things that
Mhm.
surprised me because media teaches people, it gives them the facts, it gives them, it's a very powerful tool in order to change society. And if you have bad media like Spoon TV, FOL that just focus on one group of people and trying to tell the Liberian people because this person is popular, even though they have no ideas that the person they should vote for, or by just bringing them, continuously, in a sense. You need corporations, in a strong society. If you look at the countries that are doing well today, whether it's Switzerland or it's Singapore or Rwanda or Botswana, it's because they have strong domestic corporations that are producing jobs, that are producing products and services for the people. You have a strong banking system. You go to Liberia today, the only bank that will even have half a share in it is LBDI. All the rest of the banks in Liberia are run by foreigners. I'm a banker. That is unacceptable. Okay, because what happens is these banks take your money and they expatriate it to their countries, their home countries, where they're just a subsidiary in your country. Why can't Liberians run their own banks and manage their own banks? So you can't go to Ghana as a Liberian and open a bank, or Nigeria. It would be very, very difficult for you to do such a thing. So all the politicians and the people who are talking, why they don't want to step up to take some of those positions? I would be happy to run Echo Bank. I think I'm more qualified than the president that's there, or any one of the banks in Liberia. So banking structure is very, very important. Then cities, you need cities, because in Liberia what we have is districts. Districts are not cities. A number of the bunch of communities that come together. So there's no real structure in terms of law and security, in terms of services to the people. So the way we have our whole government structure, where everything flows to the president's office, to answer your question, one of the first thing I'll be doing is trying to reform that system to get it where districts will be getting more autonomy. They will be able to appoint their own district board to do things on their own. I would also make the budget, decentralize the budget after money come up from for national security and foreign relations. The money that is for development, which will be around maybe 100, 200 million, I would distribute it around to the 72 or 73 districts that we have in Liberia, at least a portion, a significant portion, so that they can carry on some of their own projects and activities. And of course, we'll set some check and balances. The last thing that I found out in my book was the universities. Countries, again, you look at countries that do well, whether it's in Africa or in the world. Countries with the most, the most universities and the best universities are the countries that are doing better. China has, well, I think, 2,000 universities. They built, okay. England, why is England was a powerful nation? They had the biggest and the best, oldest university. America, they have the most, So it's about understanding what the role of a leader, not riding cars around and going and saying, oh, it's a president, but rather understanding how other countries work, why they are successful, reading a lot. I never saw our president with one newspaper in my entire life. You have to read. I read about 5, 10 newspapers before so once I get up, I have to read the Financial Times, I have to read the New York Times, so that I know what's happening. So when I make an investment decision, I know what's happening in Singapore, Japan, what's happening with the currency, what's happening with the bond rates and things like that. Because all those things affect us. They affect our currency. They affect how if we grow or develop, our interest rates. But now we have 1.6 billion in debt. So how do you finance that debt at the same time and help people put food on the table, or help people with job creation, things like that? So I would pass an executive order to start to give cash transfer to the very poor in our society. I'm talking about students. I'm talking about the disabled and the elderly, and those who are not working. So they will get about $50 to $100 every month until they start working, to help them if they want to start a small business, or they want to live. You can't have a country where you're paying representative $15,000 a month. Somebody like you get caught about, then you say you can get $50 to or 80-year-old woman who needs to eat, or a young student who needs to go to school. That is not acceptable. So that was the first thing I'm going to tackle. They're going to be equity, wealth equity. Money is not going to flow to government official, and it's not flowing to the people. Everybody should be treated equally.
You talk about distributing a cash. to the elderly, to the young people on a monthly basis. How is that possible?
Yeah, again, it's very possible because the amount of money that we're paying government officials, 400 people in the country, commands almost 70% of the budget. I'm talking about the 30 senators, the 72 or 73 representatives, the president and his deputies. If you look at the budget, for instance, $62 million is going to the legislature.
Hmm.
Okay. So I'm going to cut that. My budget, I'm going to send to the legislator. They have to recast the budget once there's a new administration. If it's not to recast the budget, a recast budget will call for the legislator pay coming down to below $3,000. The president pay coming down to below $3,000. Pay and compensation. And so this is what I'm running on: physical discipline. So when I do that, you save about almost $200 million. So if you took $50 million to distribute for social program, I'm talking about people at the very bottom, that will help the economy better. Because somebody like Barney Sherman, you giving him $15,000, $30,000 here and there, what he's doing, he's taking the money and putting it in U.S. account. That's why they had to freeze his asset. But if you take the same $30,000 and get how many young people or elderly can get $50 out of that $30,000. Do the math. So it's not a rocket science. I work with corporations where during difficult times, you cut the top, you cut the waste. That's to me is waste. Anybody can live on less than $3,000 a month. I don't care who you are. People live on less than $3,000 in the United States, way less than that. So if you go into government like Ellen, what it did was just pay themselves and pay the legislator, and the Liberian people went hungry. We're going to cut that nonsense out. That's the only way you're going to be able to do budget. And I know this goes into your next question. What foreign investors come to a country that the people average pay is less than $2 a day? What are they going to sell? Cars, Lexus to who? So when you increase the people wage, give them some form of revenue or capital, then you can attract foreign investor because then they will have more purchasing power. That's basic economics. So I will cut it from the government official. I will cut it from my own pay and compensation. The president's office is not going to get $20 million for the minister of state for presidential affairs. You'll be lucky if you get $1 million, and that money will go back to the people.
Oh, we just lost our Maryland County correspondent, hoping that he would get back in. I know the internet situation in Liberia is fluctuating, but nevertheless, we will hear from there at a later time. I'll
Okay, no
continue
problem.
with our discussion with the presidential aspirant, Chu-chu Alex Jones. And you are saying so much, looking at what the House of Legislature they already receiving. Do you think it's something that they want to cut?
Oh, absolutely not. They
because
not want to
because
cut it.
because they are the one that have to, by law, they have to be the one to approve citing or things that come before them. If you are going to be stepping on the toes, you think they are going to agree to step on the toes?
First of all, God's willing, there was most of them will not be there, and most of them should not be there. That's why I'm not running alone. I'm running as an independent. But the first thing I've done was to look out in different districts and look for young people to run against these corrupt people, to get them out. Okay. So that's our first order of business. So I'm working with dozens of young people, hundreds of them now, in all around the country, from Grand Gillette to Bassa to Kidman. And what I'm telling the young people, you be the change. You step out to the plate and say, I can run my district better. I want my people to be better, and we will support you. So there's a revolution that's happening right now.
Mm.
So to answer your question, my hope is that not one single representative or senator should keep their office because they've done nothing for the Liberian people. There's not a single Liberian person can say there has been one law that passed that even gave me $1. You're talking about people who have to call around to beg, people who could be who should have been to have their dignity,
Yeah.
elderly people, the blind, the deaf. They haven't done. They have not done that. So my first order of business is let's remove all of them through this election and bring progressive young people that want to serve and that want to take the country's money and give it to the people. Now, if they don't do that, then I have another trick for them.
Mhm.
That's my budget. I'm not going to sign any budget where anybody is making, including the president, more than $3,000. If we got to shut the government down, we'll shut the government down. It is happening around. It's happening in America. It's happening in other African countries. The president has to sign a budget. So if the president signing a budget are paying representatives, you know, $10,000, $15,000 and giving them $7,000 for the office staff for doing absolutely nothing, then the president is just as corrupt. And that's what you saw happening. Representative never made our money, even on a Charles Taylor. The Ellen came and Ellen put most of the money in her office for travel and all those things. And so in order for her to do that, she gave them their own share. And today where the Liberian people are, they're in a situation where they're destitute. So again,
Mm.
bad leadership. So there's ways to do it. I will send my budget, and that will be my budget. And I'm not going to budge.
Okay. Right now there are a lot of things happening in the offices when it comes to civil servant, and people are not really, really giving out the best. They are not really productive, or they're not realizing the potential for so many reasons. So what will you do, or how will you inspire, or how will you motivate them so that they can provide the the best, they can give the best in the service?
Well, one of the problems I find working with a lot of young people, a lot of people in Liberia, they are just inexperienced. People go to the university, for instance, and they leave from the university. They never worked in any industry before. They don't have any experience. All you're learning in college is theory. So they don't know. So one of my part of my plan is to set up these industries, two counties in every counties. We want to set up two major corporations. They're going to be multinational corporations. They're going to be funded by those cuts that I mentioned earlier. We're going to save between 100 to $200 million, and then we're going to invest the money into every county. Now, we're going to start making things like, processing orange juice. Why are we importing orange juice? Why are we importing tomato paste in Liberia? Why are we importing, dishes in Liberia? We can make those things in Liberia. And that will give the young people opportunity and the workers opportunity to go to this industry, get some practical experience, corporate practical experience, industrial experience, so that when you come into government, you know that if your work is important and you need to do a certain things. You know how to set up meetings. You know how to use Zoom. You know how to, because corporation will teach you those things. I mean, so the part of the problem, you take a man at Jefferson Coachy who never worked a day in his life, and you make him city mayor of the largest city in Liberia. I mean, it's atrocious. Okay. You take a man at Samuel Tuer, who was a truck driver in America, never had no banking experience. All right. I mean, I'm not talking about the political, consultancy that they do in Africa, but I'm talking about he never worked in an industry that he claims to have gone to school for. So that's why the economy it is with the way it is. Okay. I graduated in 2010 rather. And I was in college when I started my first professional job at BMW Financial Services as an accountant. So calculate how long I've been working from 2000 to 2022 before I can even be able to say, okay, now I can burn job on my own just in the last 3, 4 years. So that's what you need. You need to give them experience. You need to give them the training. Going to school is not sufficient. But so I will introduce those programs to corporate, through the industry that we're setting up, so that when you come from school or while you're even in college, you can start earning a little bit of living by working with those industry, and you don't have to come to Monrovia because they're going to be outside of Monrovia. They're going to be in all the counties, and they're going to provide work training and things like that. For those who now who we before the training program is complete and we need people already there, we just find the best people, whether they're in Unity Party or they're in CDC, and that's why I'm running as an independent because I don't have a party. I don't care for who comes. The best person who has the qualification and experience will get the job.
Mm. You don't have a political party, independent candidate. So,
Correct.
let me ask this question: if you were to side with any political party or candidate, who would that be and why?
I think my closest, my value. I'm a person who have morals and values. My mother taught me that when I was a little child, and I've never gone back against it. I have stood up for what is right and what is wrong publicly. I have taken on all your big political, what you call political leaders. I've written about them. I've challenged them. I've called them to debates on discussing anything about Liberia. Just tell me
Mm.
the time and place, and that they are all politically corrupt and most of them incompetent. But somebody I really admire is Tewan Gonglo because at least he's someone who has demonstrated, not just talk. He
Yeah.
has shown that he can stand up against corruption. So he's somebody that I could look at as to work with or to support. I did support him. In fact, I did help him. I did consult for him when he first started his campaign. Now, I would say the only problem I have with Tewan is that his management background. He will need to convince me more of taking stance against the corruption, not just with the government, but with the political parties, the communists and the broadcasts in the US and so forth. When you want to become a leader, there's no going back. Liberia needs leaders who will stand up for the truth. Not you're not there to please UA or please Cummings or you're there to do what is right for the Liberian people and speak up against injustice and speak up against corruption. So you can't pick and choose and go after we are, but then you see the other people like they look at the division in the political party.
Mm.
Look what comes there with the Liberty Party. Look what happened with the CPP. Are these the people who are more qualified and more united to run Liberia? God help us. They act like kids. They can't even agree among themselves. These are the people the young people supposed to be following the example. These are the people I'm
Mm.
supposed to be looking to. And look how they act. Okay, because they're so greedy for power and they don't want to do the hard work to reach out to every Liberian. So they want to go and side with the same Bani Samuka that were there for 12 years in office, that admitted to corruption in the regime on tape, but yet still wants to run for senator. And these people will go and endorse a man like that. I'm endorsing only young candidate, non-political people who are in the communities are cleaning the communities and setting good examples. That's who my trust and hope is in to liberate Liberia. Not these useless old politicians that time and time again they come in. The only job is to come and make money, send their children to America, and when they're sick, they leave the country. They go to Ghana and come to America. How the hell can you be? I'm sorry for my language, but how you can be president of a country, okay? And then you sick. Like Ellen, your blood pressure, you got to come to Atlanta to test your blood pressure. Why somebody mom and sister sick go to JFK and die? Okay, why you be minister of education and you send your children to private school and the other people children going to public school where there's not even teachers or of a good facility. Live with yourself. Well, if I'm president or government officials in Liberia, I will go to JFK. So we'll have to fix JFK for the public. I will send my children to public schools. I will not leave the country to come for treatment or come because it would be a disgrace for me. Chinese president or Paul Kagame don't go to London when he's sick. He goes to Rwanda hospital. So anybody who work in my government, those rules you gotta follow those rules. You're not going if you work in my government at a high level, you're going to go to public hospital so we can fix it. You're not going to get personal vehicle to take you home and take you to the club. You're going to take the public transportation or buy your own car and come to work like everybody else. When you come to work and you need to go on work business, we'll have a bus there, or buses there to the ministry. We're not gonna give you a car for $40,000. Are these people crazy?
So the
You know,
bus will carry only one person?
no, we have a bus for the ministry, buses for ministry activities. Okay. So if you're a minister and you need to go and have a meeting to another ministry, we have a driver there like UN. People don't take UN cars in Liberia and go home. The driver, even the driver, take the public transportation, come to the UN office, pick up the car, and then go and conduct business and drop the car back off. Okay, that's how it's done. If you getting paid, buy your own car. I myself going to have my own personal car that when I'm not on government business, that's what I'm going to use. You have to lead by example.
That's right.
This is something
Okay. Uh, we come back to our reporter is from the southeastern side, uh, to be specific, Maryland, and we want to say welcome, Moses. Are you there? You can hear me?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course. I'm getting the sound very loud and clear. So thanks for the opportunity given me to be live on this platform.
Okay, you want to ask Mr. Jones a question, our presidential aspirant.
All right. So firstly, let me recognize Mr. Jones, and I'd like to say thanks for the step taken. It takes someone to take that step, which you have taken to see the presidential post, the most the most higher office in the Republic of Liberia and in every country. So I would like to applaud you for that. Firstly, so before we can proceed, I would like to know your origin. What are you from, basically?
I'm from Grand Bassa County. My father is was a Senegalese young man that came to Liberia in the 40s and lived in Liberia. He met my mother from Grand Bassa County, and they had three children. I'm the youngest. So I'm from Grand Bassa County, Darwin, Bassa Road.
Okay. So my first questions have to do with your concern where you in your expose you talk about ministers giving them or assigning bosses at the very ministry where the minister himself when he was called for a meeting will also be using the same bus to go and attend the meeting. My concern have been drawn to that when quote unquote when other countries, other foreign ambassadors at times call for ministers for a roundtable discussion. Are you saying to the Liberian people because we are live, we are across the world? Are you saying to the Liberian people that you're going to assign bosses to the ministers who going to be having one way or the other having meeting with other ministries, having meeting with other ambassadors, with other international partners? Are you saying they're going to be assigning bosses
Okay, that's his question.
Okay, so when he made buses, I think the question here is what kind of car, how it will look. There are,
carried?
there are nice buses called Sprinter buses, Mercedes Sprinter buses that people use for business. Yeah, even in New York City, I work at JP Morgan, Citibank, Bank of New York. And they're very nice. The idea that you're going to assign a car, you can get Suburban. You can buy Suburban, three or four Suburban cars per ministry, and the minister can take that and go. So it doesn't mean what buses like the regular transportation buses. What I'm saying is instead of assigning a car to the minister for $45,000, or in our case, I heard I think Eugene Nagbe $90,000, the deputy minister $90,000 or $50,000, the other assistant minister. Instead of doing that, so you have a bill now of almost $1.5 million just on cars. Then you got to get each of them 300 gasoline gallons of gasoline every month, right? Then you
Of
got to get
course.
the driver, right? You got to pay the driver. So for each of these people now, at one ministry, that's where your money is going. It's why you can take the $1.5 million, buy four or five nice vehicle, maybe one or two buses. You can do all that for 200,000. When the minister is going to meet dignitaries, he will take the nicest vehicle that at the ministry, but he will not take it to his home. They were dropping off, picking up, wait for him or wherever. The deputy minister needs to go somewhere. He will use the same vehicle That's how UN operates. So it can be the same kind of car that UN has. That's what you buy. So in my office as president, we're gonna have the Ministry of State's fleet of vehicles, right? When my minister needs to go someplace, they can take one of those vehicles and go there. When I need to go someplace, if they will be bulletproof, they will be there that they will use when dignitary come. But what I'm saying is the idea of assigning individual car to a government official, okay, it's backwards and it's wrong and it's expensive. They should not do it. It costs tens of millions of dollars. That money should be going to build schools and hospitals and into open industries for our young people. We are wasting it. That's the point I'm coming from. I manage many companies and I consult many international companies. They do not give even CFO, most of them, these are big banks, personal car. If they need to use a car, they can rent a car for the day or they use the office car or something like that. You take your own car and you go to work. That's the point I'm
Mm.
trying. And that would save us 10 to almost $50 million every year if we just did that.
We on the continent of Africa and precisely West Africa. Which of the African country are there? Are you trying to or bring into Liberia, or which of the country in the Western world are there? Are you trying to bring into the Liberian politics or in the Liberian system?
Every serious country are doing that, including Rwanda, including Singapore, including the United States. You see the embassy, the United States in Liberia. You see the British embassy. Do these people have personal cars? When the ambassador needs to go somewhere, doesn't he get on one of the embassy cars and they take him there? Do you see him driving around in his own car? So every country does that. And besides, I'm an innovative person. I don't have to copy what everybody's doing. I have to do for my country what is best for them. When Rwanda came, when Paul Kagame became president, he didn't go and copy the corruption or the uselessness in other countries. He went and came up with his own ideas on what country he wanted Rwanda to be. When Jerry Rawlings became president, Jerry Rawlings didn't go and say, "I want to see, take personal things." Jerry Rawlings used to ride around in military car, and at one point, even when he was president, with very limited comfort, he used to fly his own plane. So the idea that I got to see something from somebody else, no, I'm an innovative person. The reason Liberians will be voting for me is because they want change. If you voting for me and say you want change, but you want me to go back and do the same thing that the useless government officials are doing, then you're not serious. Change means
Mm.
change. I'm not going to do anything that you currently see. My goal is to do things better, at less cost, and to help the people who are suffering in the country, to get our country up. I'm looking at our GDP here, all right? $3 billion. This is a country that's 174 years old, all right? Somalia, that is in war, all right, is $7 billion. Togo, $8 billion. Rwanda, $11 billion. These are smaller countries than us, both in population and landscape. Some of them don't even have any natural resources. And we are sitting down and talking about government ministers buying $40,000 car. We should be ashamed of ourselves. I get ashamed when I go to conferences and meetings and people and say I'm a Liberian, not because I don't love my country, but I read up what people see in the news. Okay, that my country should be better. My country should be progressive. Our GDP should be about 20, $25 billion at this point in time. If we're taking the money from government officials and building industries and factories, why our lovely men got to come in Liberia before we build a hotel, before we build a business, before we import building material? The whole country, the government can even ensure that rice is available. That's the kind of government you can't just blame the president for that. You got to blame the legislator. It's their job. They have oversight. So every one of those bloggers, they got to go. And if Liberians are serious, I'm serious. I will say this. I have work to do. I'm a serious person. I have businesses to run. I'm doing this to help the young people help themselves. I'm not a desperate or corrupt politician or somebody or a politician that come in there to do the battle cry and to do all that nonsense. I'm here because there are young people in Liberia who are looking for direction, who want to see their lives improve. who want to be able to start a business or get work after college, and who the government should be helping. That's what I'm here for. Not here to come and make anybody feel good about themselves, any government official or any, body, because they into politics like a business as usual. I'm not here for business as usual. If I'm going to do this, it's going to be the Jones way. And will get us to where we need to be.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. You talk about you made mention of before you come back, Moses. You made mention of the nation's staple food, which is rice. And of recent, we see that there is a shortage on on the market. So, what are your plans if you were to become the president? What plans do you have for the agricultural sector in Liberia?
And before the rice shortage, if you go back and listen to some of my interviews and read my papers, I talked about these things. I've been talking about it for over 10 years. I've been engaging Liberian economists, financial people, government officials for over 10 years. So I don't get hype up when because next week there will be another shortage. I can guarantee you. So what I'm gonna do is the 30 corporations that I'm saying that when we cut the cost of your government official, you're gonna have an agriculture and industrial company, multinational in Liberia, run by Liberia, by Liberians, funded by Liberia. So that money we cut, maybe we'll put 10, $20 million to build. They will be responsible now to feed the country. They will have all the resources. They can go into different counties and find the best lands to grow food, rice, and pepper, and different things. So that can be funded within my first month. You can get that started. So by the time in 6 months later, Liberia will be moving towards self-sufficiency. That's the only way you solve the problem. Two, it will create a lot of jobs for people in different counties. I'm not talking about the kind of farming where subsistence farming. I'm talking about bringing a heavy machine, they bringing the expertise. There are Liberians here. In fact, I've been on panel with some of them. That study agriculture at the highest level, PhDs in agriculture. That industry, that company now, it can be called Liberian Agricultural Corporation International, something like that. They will be their job now, and their CEO will be able to look for Liberians who have the expertise so that they can start farming. We have hundreds of millions of land. Why are we worrying about some merchant bringing food to us? We should be exporting food. There are countries in Africa, lists of countries that are exporting food, rice. So it's just another example of your bad politicians. From the Borka, Borka is he studied agriculture. Borka should have the largest farm in Liberia that should be feeding the whole Liberia if he was a serious man. Okay, he was minister of agriculture, so he cannot say anything to George Weah. Okay, the private sector. Okay, Cummings is a businessman. Dongo did not go and become president before he opened job and start producing sugar. And just like Alice Jones, I'm just in the process of securing some land in Grand Bassa County, Kidman, and Magidi County to start my business. That's what I'm focusing on. So when I come to Liberia, whether I'm elected or not, I can be able to feed myself. I can be able to help give jobs to some young people. That's what serious people in the country do. So if I'm not president, I can't do anything. And trust me, I'll make a lot of money because when I was 14 years old in Liberia, I was selling coal while I was in high school. Not just selling it, I was producing it, distributing it to all the restaurants and the different food centers. And I was able to make a good living at 14 years old before I even graduated from high school. I used to take my very car that I bought, Honda Accord, for my business. I had a van that I purchased in less than 3 months' time. I used to go to Haywood campus. One time, I remember I went to school one morning and I parked my nice Honda Accord, and the vice president came, or he was from, I forgot his name. And he came and he said, "Is this your car?" I said, "Yes." And he said, "Oh, what do you do?" I said, "I'm a businessman." I said, "Cool," and I distribute. And he said, "Bring it inside, bring it inside." And they opened the gate. And since then, every time I went to school, they parked my car in. So, you know, my father came to Liberia, he couldn't speak English. And he learned, he opened radio shop, he ordered battery importation. He was a businessman. My mother started to make reeds on Cable Street, where opposite they had a movie theater called Sheila Cinema. That's where I was born and raised in our burial house, old Congo house, right there by that, right in front of Sheila Cinema. My mom used to fix wreaths for decoration. Okay, she taught every one of her children how to fix it. Even me at the time, when 19 years old, I could fix mine and make my own money. So why people waiting for women or government to give you a job? Find something you can do. Team up with other people. So that's why none of them can come to me and tell me, say, they're suffering. I went through suffering. I went through the war. I starved. After the war, I had to make ends meet, find a business. Then when you ask somebody for help and say, oh, help me, you're doing something. But some of the young people are not serious. They're just jumping from one political party to another political party to another political party. It's your life. Alex Jones' life, at least I can say I have a career. Be serious.
Mr.
The country.
Jones, Mr. Jones, you in your deliberation, you talk about the politicians, the old politicians, and you say, I want to paraphrase. You said they are unfit politicians, and the rest of the words that you use. What
Yes,
what made them unfit to contest in this?
they're fit for leadership, unfit for leadership, because leadership means, first of all, having an idea, a philosophy that other people can see and follow. You tell me what any one of the presidential candidates, what's the ideology? My ideology is invest in the young people, take them, train them, educate them, open farm for them to go there and start working and earn for themselves. Where's George Weah ideology? When I be president, I will make you give you a job, you're not qualified. What is Cummings' ideology? How many young people do you see Cummings really promoting? I'm on the phone day and night working with young people, they're cleaning cities. Some of them trying to start small businesses. We are purchasing them. What is Walker ideology? His entire life. What has he done for young people, even people in his town? What young person can come out today and say, oh, I have a business that's successful as a result of this person? So when I mean they're useless or they're unfit, they are not leaders. They are selfish people. People who just want to be in government time and time again. And if they're not in government, then they want to come back in government. Okay? I don't even want to work for somebody, a corporation, before I say work for government. It's never occurred to me until 3 months ago when I look at a list of candidates in Liberia, like no matter which one of these people win, Liberians, young people are doomed. And because I have friends, family, and I see the plight of the young people, that's why I stepped up. I can go to Ghana and do the same thing I want to do. I can go to Sierra Leone and do the same thing I want to do. But I want to come to my country to help inspire young people, show them how to even write. The young people, some of them can't even write. They graduate from university. They can't even express their own idea. What do you want? How are you going to get it? Put a business plan together. So I want to help them with these things. It's my responsibility now. The politicians are interested in that.
Mr. Jones, the population of the youth, they are more, according to a census that not a census, but a research that I did like a couple of days ago. They are like 58% of the population in Liberia, the youth, and they are the one that have more voice. They are the one that voting people into power, into strategic leadership. So how do you think you are going to get this message to them? Because they are decision makers, whether we like it or not. They have the votes. How can you transform the minds of the people? Because they are voting, and these politicians you talk about that they are unfit for leadership, they are the one putting those people into leadership. So how then do you get the message to them that these people, you need to stop voting for them and you need to think twice?
We use all medias, including medias like this. The problem we have in Liberia, like I said, and it's been for a while, we have very corrupt and dishonest media that do not stand for the truth. And they are the ones that are misleading most of the young people because they go on Spoon TV and you see a man like Musa Belede every day, and you see a person like Darius DeLon and all these people who've done nothing for society and young people, and those are the people they are promoting. You go on Focus and you see Smith Toby and you see people there promoting Joshua. And so the young people are confused. They are like, okay, if I'm listening to Spoon TV and I'm listening to SKTV, and they're telling me that these are the people, Joseph Boaga and George Weah or Cummings, then maybe they. So we have to blame our media. When I say that the media, like, with the exception of a few, now you guys, you talk to everybody. There's smart news. There's some small, other media, but the major media is in Liberia. The front page Africa. They are corrupt. They are part of the problem. They take one side of the political spectrum and they only promote that side. And as a media, all right, you get your license to serve the public. So we can only do if the media call us, we'll come and present our message. Okay, there's stations that in Liberia that have called us, and we will be able to help the young people. But if they block us because they want to help one of the corrupt friends, then there's not much we can do. It's all our country. If you don't say that it's important to get everybody message out. Look, everybody in the race right now is an aspirant. George Weah is an aspirant. He's not a candidate yet. Until the election commission certifies you next year as a candidate, you are the same as me. So why should George Weah or Cummings or Boakai get more press than Alex Jones? That's where the first corruption starts. So either they are, you know, uh, uh, insensitive or oblivious to this fact, or they don't even know their own job. The moment somebody said they're running for office, and I'm not just talking about the presidential level, we have about 6 candidates. We have district number 8, Neil Moba. He's doing an exceptional job in his district. He got, if not hundreds of young people that are doing projects. How many times you seen that in on front page or heard that on Spoon? And I hope you will come to the program along with many others. Augustine say in District 12. Okay. So I'm just saying the media has an important role. The reason why they give you license as a media is because you're supposed to serve the public, not collect money from whoever you think you collect money for interview. And I'm a businessman, I'm a media person. Make your money. If I want a media to run an ad for me, I will pay them because they have to make a living. But the responsibility is to make sure that all the candidates are heard and they are treated equally so that the young people can hear it and see everybody, but they get upset with me as if, I should love Labrador more than them. So that's how I intend to get my message on. Once the message is very clear, who does not understand that paying a minister $7,000 while somebody in the country can't even get $2, or they have to beg somebody for $50 to go to school doesn't make any sense. What person would think that make any sense to pay for a president to fly on a private jet of $35 million private jet at a cost of $25,000 an hour? All right, when your country is the economy, you don't even have public hospitals around the country. People, students don't even have books. You don't even have rice in your country. Then you're going to go beg for money in $35 million jet. Like, who's stupid? What sound business person or country in the world will give you money when they themselves don't have a private plane? The president of China does not have a private plane. He travels on a commercial plane. Okay. So those are things where the people already know, but the media's they have to help us so that the message, everybody. I'm not asking you to support me or come and say something that to support me in that way. Or I'm asking the media, give everybody the opportunity to preach the message to the population. Let the people decide for themselves. If they don't want Alex Jones will go back to his farm.
Yeah. Okay, Mr. Jones.
For them.
Thank you so much, Mr. Jones. We're rounding up. Moses, you want to ask
Yeah,
us a question?
yeah, of course. I think, though we are not still late, but again, I'd like to say thanks to Mr. Jones for his expose. And I just wanted to just give us, in summary on his manifesto, so I can be able to, investigate his manifesto and how he's going to interpret or why he has as a manifesto.
Okay, thank you very much. And it's a great opportunity to be on 2A radio TV roundtable. It's a, Pastor Patient, I think you're a tremendous person, and I wish you all the best in all your endeavors. And my
Thank you.
journalist friends there, Thank you for the questions you've asking. Like I told her when I took call her yesterday and said, "Don't ask me no easy question." Because if somebody is running for office in the highest office, they're gonna be shouldering the responsibility of people's health, people education, people livelihood. And when I see some of these people on radio, some of the candidates go on these programs, and where I consider to be baby questions, they throw at them, and so we're not competitive. So thanks for your hard questions. Anytime you have any question, my manifesto is very simple. What I'm going to do, I'm going to cut the government pay, the top level officials to under $3,000. I'm going to increase the bottom people civil service pay to at least $300. So nobody in Liberia who work for any government, whether the local government or the national government, going to make less than $300 a month. Okay, I'm going to invest the difference now between 150 to 250 to $200 million into opening 30 multinational Liberian owned and financed corporations, two in each county. And that is my job plans so that 50 to 100,000 people can get to work immediately, making a substantial wave. Okay. I'm going to decentralize the budget. So the president is not going to be responsible now for your district, whether you inside your district number 5 in Morovia or you're in district number 2 in Lofa County. When the budget is made, that same budget, we take out the amount for foreign relations, which is for the ambassadors, because I will not be traveling a lot. I don't intend to make any trip my first year, including the United Nations. I will do it just the way I'm doing it here, and I will tell them the Liberian people don't have the money. Okay. So when they take out the money for foreign relations, they take out the money for defense, which is the police and national army. The rest of the money for development is going to go to all the districts in the county, so that they can develop their own county. We're not going to have a presidency that's going to come to you and say, "Oh, build a school or build a hospital." You call your people together, the international ones, the ones back home, and you take power to develop the initiative to develop your own place. So that way, when you don't do it good, you can blame Alice Jones. Okay, everybody is going to be registered to a district and a county. So whether you live in America or you live in Liberia, you don't even have to be there. So for instance, my district could be now where my residency in Liberia could be Kidman, even though I'm from Grand Bassa County. That way I will pay some of my taxes. So vacation time, that where I'm going to go. So everybody going to set up a system where everybody now is star, regardless of your tribe. There's going to be no tribalism in my government. No tribalism. In fact, the superintendents are not going to be from the tribe from that county. The central bank governors are going to decentralize the central bank where you have one central bank district in every county to help with those corporations, to help with opening small businesses. There are counties in Liberia don't even have a bank. So the central bank will facilitate that until we can establish commercial banks. So it's very simple: A, B, C, D. Cut government, invest in industries for jobs for the people, decentralize the budget, okay, give power to the people.
Thank you.
So
Thank you. Yeah. Your last question, Moses.
We can't hear you.
yeah, okay, you hear me now?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, that was very very much good. And I listened to your manifesto creating cutting down government officials pay and creating bringing other investment that would provide the job opportunity for the citizen. But something that you left out, and I want you to just speak on it. When it comes to the issue of the people healthiness, there's a saying that says health is wealth, and you did not talk about health. How you intend to manage, how you intend to get votes from those who are in the country without talking about issue of health. When the issue of health is the first in every nation.
Correct. And I did talk about her. Why I said the president will go to JFK like everybody else. The
Yeah.
minister will send a children. But let me just address you. Your question is how can we provide health facilities in the country? So the part of that 30 corporations, we have agricultural corporations that are going to be responsible to feed us and provide jobs. We're going to have health company in the country now that is going to be responsible to give everybody insurance. So everybody can go to any hospital. They will be responsible now to build clinics and hospitals around the county. So that answer all the questions in terms of health, how we're going to other industry or social services, how people going to have educational system. So it's for example, we have a educational corporation, right? That's going to be responsible now to build schools, high schools, and colleges and universities in all the counties. And all the government is going to do, once you send your child to the school, you can choose any school. Your child gets there, complete the school, the government send you the check. We don't have to build the schools anymore. That will do things faster and quicker. The money we take to be giving, building schools and paying teachers, they will hire the teachers because it will be a company, just like the universities in America. The universities, you go there, you complete your course, the government you send your check, wherever left what they give you for your room and board, right? I don't know some of you guys, but
Yeah.
that's how it is done. So you have government don't have a university other than the West Point and the military university. So it's very simple. That gives Liberia now jobs. My biggest problem is we don't have the number of people to take the jobs in my plan because it's a decentralized plan. You're talking about opening 30 major corporations in Liberia at once. So that means the man in Maryland can't say, "Oh, I got to go to Cape Mount for work." You have two major corporations there. Maybe you can have the food corporation and the healthcare corporation, and now you can open branches in all of the other counties and in the district at a lower level. So that's my headache. Headache. How can we train people as quickly as possible, managers, and hire enough people? If you have an eighth grade education in Liberia, okay, that means you can open a Facebook account. You will have a job in my administration. That's my promise to you. You have a job because there will be something for you to do. Because I'm coming with a bucket load of plans to put people to work. I even tell you about my railroad plans. I plan to stop
We'll
working.
talk about it another time.
Thank you, thank you. So I want my
Well,
infrastructure to talk
time
about
is
it.
time is fast spent, and we're going to have Mr. Jones here again another time. But just to run up, want you to also address this in your closing remarks concerning domestic violence. We see that it is on the increase, and this is something that I'm really passionate about. Or so come December, we're going to be the Center for Women and Children Empowerment will be launching the awareness program, and uh, we want to make our voices heard. So, given your platform and everything, is there anything that you have within that is going to address that burning situation, because it is on the increase in Liberia? Domestic violence is on the increase.
Yeah, first of all, I mean, my website is makeliberiabetter.org. So if you go there, you'll be able to to learn more about me. And you also see on our website that one of my passions and one of the reasons I'm doing this for is because I see the number of domestic violence in Liberia, not just raped and other things, but even men beating women to the point where they disfigure. I'm totally against those things. There will be no tolerance for that. For that. But to solve the domestic problem, you got to solve you got to solve the economic problem. Many of these kids, I mean, just yesterday, I got a call about this young girl who lost both her parents and she's not homeless. So one of my colleagues in Cyprus called me and said, "Look, this girl needs help. She doesn't have a place to live. She went to live with one pastor, and he tried to molest her and things like that. How can we help her out?" And the issue here now is that you need a president, you need a leader that's not just going to talk and say, "Oh, I will do this and do the other one." You need to have the resources to be able to help anyone who is facing domestic violence and prosecute anyone who commits it. And it goes back to our be brief here. It goes back to where you have a government official that committed a crime. He stole $1.2 million. He went to the court. He had his lawyer. He made his case. He was found guilty. Brandon Samoka. He went to the Supreme Court, which a lot of people don't get the opportunity to go to. He was found guilty. And what the president did, the president pardoned him. But if that were me and you now, okay, we'll be in jail. Is that justice? You prosecute the person, you pardon the person who steals $1.2 million, and then you prosecute the man who's hungry and go and steal a billboard. So in my government, we either let both of them go free or we'll prosecute both of them. Same thing with the War and Economic Crimes Code. Everybody is going to go free in terms of we're going to wait, not go free, but we're going to just grant immunity to everybody, or we're going to prosecute everybody. We're not going to select and say, oh, the other person, because we elect them, they in my political party, Daniel Che, so he's okay, or Yeke Koluba. And then Prince Johnson, we're going to prosecute him. That's selective justice. Or Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, who was one of the leaders, we let her go free. That's not serious. But domestic violence is very important to me. I have sisters, I have a daughter, and I want to make sure that they are protected in Liberia, and will provide the resources to combat it fiercely and viciously, meaning the person can be the Pope. If they commit a crime in Liberia, sexual crime, they will be dealt with accordingly, and will provide all of the assistance, open homes, provide adoption services for where Liberians can adopt young people, young girls who, maybe participation can help out with some of our programs where you can take them in, and the government will just give you a check every month to care
Yeah,
for them.
we intend to have a safe home.
So don't worry, my government intend to fund you as much as possible by taking the money from the corrupt government officials and putting it into this program. That's my promise. Hold me on this, keep this tip. So when I don't do it, you can say Alex Jones said you were going to cut his pay and all the government officials pay, the top ones, and now he's not doing it.
Thank you so much. We want to say thank you, Mr. Jones, for joining us today on the roundtable, to a radio roundtable. We also want to say thank you to our correspondent there in Maryland County. It was good to have you with us. We also want to say thank you to our viewers out there, and we will be back another time. This was just an impromptu interview, but we're going to have a full interview with Mr. Jones again, because we got to keep hearing all the good things he's talking about, and because we want Liberia to be better. We want to hear everybody what they have to say. So it can be Mr. Jones, it can be Mr. Koluba, it can be Mr. Cummings, as many that is willing to come on, we're going to hear them. So we want to say thank you for joining us. Continue to share the broadcast, and make your comments. We look at the comments and we respond to them at the appropriate time. So thank you so much. We will be on this platform again. God bless
Thank
you
you.
and have a
Bless you.
wonderful day. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Mr. Jones. God bless you.